Alrighty, we are now joined by Rick Croy, the CBU men's coach. Coach, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were just talking a little bit about Australia, a dream trip of mine. Kind of tell me, how was the basketball over there? How did you feel like your team did?
The basketball was great, very competitive. Australia basketball, as many people know, has improved every year, and obviously this year they were really the strongest team in the World Championships before they got down to the medal round. So you could see it when you're over there at all levels. We played some of their Division II pro teams. We played the Center of Excellence, and then we played some of their top level teams in their NBL, their professional league, and it was great competition. It was really a great trip for our guys all the way around.
And you got to go swimming at the Great Barrier Reef.
We did. We spent a day on the Great Barrier Reef, which is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and our guys enjoyed it.
Do you feel like those foreign tours really do a lot for your team?
They do. They do. I think our guys had such a sense of appreciation for CBU, number one, for sending us on the trip, and then also for each other. You know, you get to spend a lot of time around each other, and we have 5 Australians on our team. For our guys to be able to see where those guys are from, spend time around their families, very unique opportunity.
I was going to say, it's like a 16-hour flight too, isn't it? I'm sure that's a good amount of time with you.
We had prepared for the flight, and it wasn't as bad on the way there. It wasn't too bad. Coming back, you definitely felt it.
Yeah, no kidding, I'm sure. And let's talk about Milan, preseason player of the year. Milan as a whole, he declared for the NBA draft and decided to come back. What are you hoping to see out of him this season?
Well, his focus is on improving his leadership. He was a great leader for us last year, plays with a ton of belief, a lot of courage. His teammates feel that. He makes others believe. And I think he's really improved his leadership. He's improved a lot of areas of his game, but he wants to be the best leader he can possibly be. He wants to be the best leader in the WAC. He sets the bar high for himself, and he goes after it every day in practice. He's a lot of fun to coach.
He gets double-teamed. He experienced that last year, occasionally triple-teamed. Is that something the team prepares for, or is it something you ask Milan to have to prepare for himself?
Well, both. And I think you'll see this year he's going to be an improved playmaker. You know, obviously he scored the ball at a high rate last year. I think he'll score the ball again this year, but I think he's improved other parts of his game, passing being one of them.
The three-point line was moved back this season as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I think the more we can unify the game, the better. Now it's moved back to the international line, and I think it'll test every program a little bit differently in different ways. It was good for us to get one run with that line in Australia. We're a team that shoots a lot of threes, a program that is, we've taken a lot of threes each and every year that we've been there. We'll continue to utilize the three-point shot, but it'll definitely challenge you. I'm sure in some ways that are predictable, and then some you'll have to make some adjustments during the season.
Last season, you guys were the best free throw percentage in the league. What would you say you guys do in practice to make sure that statistic stands?
It probably has more to do with recruiting, and I think we've got very focused athletes, student athletes, that when we do shoot them in practice, they lock in, and I think it's not really anything differently that we're doing. It's just their focus and their attention to detail, and hopefully we can shoot them well again this year. And
then you guys got a new arena last year, new performance center that's just opening up as well. What does that say about the athletic department, but also the university?
Well, it says CBU is committed, and CBU's been committed for a long time as a university, and now we're committed to the WAC, we're committed to Division I, and we're committed to excellence. So it's a great opportunity for us as a program, great platform to represent CBU, and we love doing it.
Good. All right, I'm going to toss you over to the media, Coach.
Was your first season in the WAC what you expected?
I think there were some things that we prepared for, but until you go through them, you can't totally understand everything until you get a rep going through it. The travel, obviously, a lot of people talk about, but it is intense. It's a factor. We had a preseason last year, non-conference schedule that was very demanding. So to come off that non-conference schedule and then experience the intense travel in the WAC, it was a factor. I think we learned from it. We're doing some things differently this year as a program, and the biggest thing is can you bring those lessons forward with you? And I believe we will.
Coach, we'd already kind of talked about Milan. He declared for the draft, decided to come back. What do you think he learned from that experience? I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him, but what do you think he took away from that?
Yeah, he got some great feedback, and I think he had some specific things that we had outlined for him, areas of improvement. both that we had outlined for him, and then also some things that he wanted to focus on that were derived, intrinsically. And I think just a little bit more detail on those, whether it's defense or, some of his playmaking, the feedback that you're able to get from that process, it's really a great thing that the NBA's done, and he took full advantage of it.
This question comes from Clay Cunningham of the Bakersfield Californian. What are your thoughts on California passing the Fair Pay to Play Act, and what do you think it means for the future of college athletics?
Well, I think we're doing more for our student athletes than we ever have. That's been my experience, especially in the last few years. The cost of attendance, the stipends, the food, all those things continue to improve. We've got to continue to improve things for the student athletes. I think right now, with the Fair Play Act, I don't know if the people right now that are putting things in place, I'm not sure they have the full scope of all of the things that it's going to require to make it, you got to keep the playing field as level as possible. So there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of things that they got to figure out. So until all those details come out, it's pretty tough to have an opinion either way. But I do know our student athletes deserve more. They're getting more, and we'll continue to support them.
All the talk, Kyle McDonald from Wax Hoops Digest, all the talk is about Milan, a little bit. What about the surrounding cast that he's going to, that's going to need to help him win some games? I know last year he put up some big numbers in games, but the supporting cast didn't maybe pull their part. What's going to have to change for you guys to move up in the WAC standings with regard to that?
Yeah, I think, even hearing that, I think as a coach, you take things personally a little bit, because I think even when people talk about our team last year, sometimes they don't give enough credit to Jordan Heading. Jordan Heading was a great leader for us. He scored 17 a game in the WAC in conference play. He shot 50 from the floor, 40 from three. So he had an outstanding season, and he was everything you want a senior leader to be. So now as we move forward into this season, I would say the same things about Dejon Davis. Dejon Davis led the WAC in rebounding last year, and there probably aren't a lot of guys that led their respective conference in rebounding and did not make the all-conference team. He's one of those guys. He didn't pout. I think he went to work. I think he's an improved player, and he's excited to compete. So we've got a lot of guys around Milan, a lot of guys on our team right now that are excited about competing. They're excited about doing it together. I think we've got a lot of guys that can make plays.
Like all conferences, the WAC has been greatly impacted by the high upkick in transfers, player transfers. How difficult is it to combat all this player movement, and what are you doing to adjust?
Yeah, I think ultimately you want to coach student athletes that want to be right where they're at. And I think student athletes have to have an opportunity to move on if that's in their heart. For us, the transfers, we've had guys transfer into our program that maybe weren't in the best environment for them, and now they feel like they're right where they're supposed to be. So, Farron Flavors is going to play a big role for us coming from Fairfield University. His was more of a geographical thing. He wanted to get back out west and be in a program that played the way we play. Brandon Boyd was a grad transfer. Coming from Idaho State, there was a coaching change. So there's such a myriad of factors involved in the transfers, both that are leaving your program or that are coming in. But I think right now the process is pretty good, and we want to try and be involved in the transfer game and get guys that really want to be at CBU.
Coach, you had some changes to your coaching staff. Would you talk to us a little bit about your new addition?
Yeah, we brought in Adam Jacobson. He was associate head coach at the University of Hawaii, helped them have some great years. He's competed in 6 NCAA tournaments. He was at UOP, University of Pacific, in the West Coast Conference for over 15 years. He brings great experience. He's excited to be at CBU, and he's made our program better each and every day since he's been with us.
There's some great home crowds in the WAC. What is the atmosphere like at CBU for a big men's basketball game?
I think it's real. We've got buy-in on all levels. Our community support has been tremendous. That's something we were building back when we were in the Pac West. And then there was a a new enthusiasm about the CBU Event Center. It's increased our season ticket holders. We're getting more and more buy-in from our students on campus. We're going to keep building our student section. And we've got great support from our administration. And we have a unique location. We're far enough away from Orange County, far enough away from LA. We can be the show. We can be the show in the Inland Empire, and we take great pride in that.
Talk about some of these guys you brought in from Australia and how they might fit in with your program this year.
Well, returning is Glenn Morrison. Bull Quall redshirted last year, but he was a great competitor for us as a freshman and as a sophomore. Helped us win a lot of games, brings a lot of versatility. And then we have a junior college transfer, Tristan Forsyth, who also is a versatile player. He can step out and shoot the ball, but we need him to play great post defense and rebound. And then we have 2 exciting freshmen, one from Tasmania, Trey Armstrong, and one from Sydney, Reed Nottage. And both those guys have a chance to be great players in our program.
All righty, Coach. Well, we appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, no problem. That's Rick Croy with CBU, and that'll end Session 2. Session 3 will start up at 3:15 Mountain Time. We'll see you guys in just a couple hours.